Hello everyone and welcome to this educational video where I'm going to talk about cranes, but mainly about pivots and mechanics in Stormworks, how it works, how you can get a stronger pivot or mechanical joint, because it works a little bit different than in reality, so stay tuned. Have you ever come across a situation in Stormworks where you built something mechanical using the pivots, hinges, sliders, whatever, and found that it collapses, it doesn't work right, it doesn't lift any weight, it really is weak, it glitches? So if that is you, and that's for sure me, I've come across that multiple times, I have a solution for you, and it is not a secret. A lot of people talk about it actually, but I do want to formalize it for everybody here. It has everything to do with the weight of the system. Now, the interaction of different bodies in Stormworks have mass, right? And you could pile on these weight blocks and increase its mass. Now, as you know, with Stormworks, it has the different bodies. Now, this is currently one body, but if we put a pivot, it's going to introduce a second body to this. So it's green. And now, if I were to put something on this, as you could see, just looking at it right away, obviously this massive weight or mass is much more than these solid cubes, because they're just regular one mass blocks. So relative mass of the red body is way higher than green. Now, normally this doesn't really come into play, but there are certain scenarios where it does, and the interaction of these pivots and joints is one of them. Now, I'll give you a practical example and show you how I solved it. Now, we all know sometimes the physics in Stormworks is a bit inconsistent, but this is one of those rules that should probably help you. Now, this creation is something that Mackenzo, one of my Discord server moderators, kind of encouraged me to make. It's obviously based on a hook lift style connector or trailer that trucks have, and pretty much the idea is that you can use a series of mechanical nodes and stuff to load a container, standardized of course, onto the bed of a truck or onto a ship or helicopter or whatever. So that's why I'm using my H4 style connectors, and as you saw, the process for this crate worked. Now, of course, work in progress. If I develop it, I'm going to have to make a microcontroller that makes this all automated, etc., etc. But take a look at this system. You'll notice that I've put weights on the different bodies. Your system and the ability to pick things up will depend on a few things. So, of course, the weight of whatever it is you're trying to pick up is one of them. If it's too heavy, well, good luck. Then you have the weight of the actual system that's doing the picking up, the weight of the actual creation it's going on to, and of course the type of joint. So you see here, this pivot has a motor of 200. If we see the other pivots, the velocity, for example, is stronger. It has 1,000. These other ones have 200, and this actually applies to the other mechanical things. If you take a look at this hinge, you got 400. So you could take a look at that. That does dictate your strength, but it's not just that. It is the weight of the system. So, for example, you saw how the truck picked up this example or this type of load. Now imagine if I remove this and I place a bunch of weight inside this. So now our load is substantially more than these couple of measly blocks on this. So if I try to pick it up, look at that. Okay, you know, it's picked it up that far, but now you could see the joint is struggling right there. It's kind of glitching off the rails, and if I try to move it onto the truck itself, it'll actually get bogged down and will not want to work. So in this case, this load is too high and you can't put this on the back of the truck. But remember what I said about relative weight? What if we increase the weight of this thing here, because that is the one that seemed to be kind of glitching off the rails. So if we apply the exact same strength and system and do that, look at that. It cleared it without a problem. So all I did was increase the mass of this joint there, and allowed it to pick up way heavier things that you would not be able to pick up otherwise. Now, it is a bit counterintuitive, of course, because in real life, you know, you have the actual system, but if you increase the weight of this, it would do absolutely nothing in real life other than if it was a counterweight balancing issue, but not increase the strength of the joint. The relative weight will also play an issue on creations like this, where you have multiple bodies. Say the red body here is the actual truck, whereas the green one is the basket or dumper, and the dumper weighs way more than the actual truck, yet the actual truck is the one that has the wheels. So in this case, your bodies are going to cause kind of a glitching effect, and you are better off loading your truck with weight to make sure it is as heavy as possible to counteract the weight of the dumper. Same thing with semi-trucks. If you want to tow something that's heavy, you better make sure that you've placed a ton of weight. Now, this is the most dense thing that I could find, 40 mass for a 3 long block item. Normally 3 weight blocks would be 30, so this actually has 10 more. And I loaded the truck up with all of these just to make my relative mass of this very small truck as high as possible compared to the trailer that it's going to be towing. But we'll go back to crane systems for now. As you can see here, even on this very small crane, the smallest one, or second smallest one I've made, I did try to put a little weight block there just to increase the weight as much as possible of that boom arm. And you know what, it may even be in my advantage to add weight to this part as well, just to make sure that the overall system itself does have as much possible, not weight, but just relative weight, okay? You don't want to bog it down and load it up, because if you start throwing on huge amounts of weight there, you're only going to end up destroying your creation. So you definitely don't want to do that. It's just about applying the right amount of relative weight. Now, even applying these 3 blocks here, I don't think that actually helped me, because now the weak spot is here, past that spinning pivot, right, that you see here. So while yes, I could apply a weight here, that won't really help, because you see that this is kind of a pass-through element. Where I think the weight would really help would be down here in the base, so not the pivot bit, but over above it. And now if I spawn this in, you should see that it'll remain pretty sturdy even as we move it up and down the track, just because it has weight there on the bottom. Now, it does a little bit of like swinging back and forth. That's just the momentum. But the actual joint there is rock steady. Look at that. It doesn't flex like you saw before. Of course, this piece does, but down there doesn't. So you have to selectively apply weight in the joints. And what I always do is I go to the bodies, and then you could see which body joints you kind of want to apply the weight to, and make sure that when you load it up, obviously you have to do a test, you'll see that it does work. So hopefully this video shed some light on how to optimize your pivots, your mechanical joints, your creations in regards to weight balancing. This is something that people talk about on the Discord server. They talk about it on the YouTube videos, all that stuff, but I did want to make sure it's captured and explained, because when you say increase the weight, it's not just blindly increase the weight, but usually there is some there always is some logic to it. You selectively increase the weight to where it'll actually help you. So take a look at that. We got weight on the top of this. Take a look at that. Weight on the top of this boom. Of course, I showed you the one I have on this system. On this one as well, I have it. So I've went ahead and placed it in logical spots where my joints are going to improve based on that extra little bit of weighting. So thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Stay tuned for more creations. And as always, happy Stormworksing, everyone. See you next time.